from Luke chapter 8, beginning at verse 40. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house, because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him, and a woman who was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," he said. "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid, just believe, and she will be healed." When he arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. "Stop wailing," Jesus said. "She is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand and said, "My child, get up." Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. We live at a unique time in history where there is not only an immense amount of pain in the world, but so much of that pain is hidden. From bruised knees and broken toys to divorces and deathbeds, our usual response to pain is to turn to those we love, to our friends, to our church communities, to our families. The desire to have one's pain seen and noticed is natural and healthy. But lockdown and social isolation means that while our pain is great, it is hidden behind closed doors. It's shut in, and we can't connect with those whom we long for. We are in many ways like the woman in the passage who has been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She is lost and buffeted in a crushing crowd, hidden in its stampede as people push in front of her to get to Jesus. And yet, in what is perhaps the most remarkable part of the story, Jesus notices her. He asks, in what must have seemed comical almost to the crowds pressing in around him, "Who touched me?" This is even more remarkable when we remember that Jesus is not only surrounded by a crowd, but also rushing to save the daughter of a synagogue leader, Jairus. He's in a hurry, but something or someone makes him stop. Despite her hiddenness, Jesus seeks out this woman and finds her. He sees her pain and he attends to it. The passage says that the woman could not go unnoticed any longer. You may understandably feel unnoticed right now, at a time when governments and doctors are fighting a global pandemic on the front line. It's easy to conclude that our own suffering is not only hidden behind closed doors, but also of secondary importance, that we're forgotten in the rush to save Jairus' daughter. The phrase "suffering in silence" never felt more apt. And yet, Jesus noticed this unnamed woman's pain, and he notices our pain too. It was enough to make him stop, to listen, and to heal. Whether in isolation or in crushing crowds, whether our pain is great or small, Jesus does not allow us to go unnoticed.